Happy New Year, or Szczęśliwego Nowego Roku. So, I'm finally back in Poland. This is my first video that I'm recording in Poland since I've been back. As you may tell, I've been able to upgrade my technology a little bit. So now I have the iPhone 17 Pro. I was considering the Max, but I thought, no, I think that's going to be a bit too much to carry. The added battery life would have been a plus though. But this video is going to be about my 2025 and a little bit about my 2026. I want to reflect on what I've learned, what I've done, and I can certainly say it's been a mixed year. There have been some pros and cons, some losses and some gains, and I'm hoping you find it interesting, or at least it gives you a nice summary of where I've been and what I've done this year. So please stay tuned. Dzień dobry and welcome to A Brit in Poland. With this channel, I travel across the country, I bring you the culture, and I show you just how amazing Poland is. So I invite you on my journey. If you want to see more, I have Facebook and Instagram profiles, which you will find links to in the description below. And if you want to really help out, you can turn to my Patreon or Patronite accounts, again in the description. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Do zobaczenia. I wanted to start with the losses. I know I've already talked about this in another video, but one of the biggest things to happen to me in 2025 was losing my dad. And I've learned that losing someone doesn't mean they leave your life, but what you do is you carry forward their teachings. And I'll always remember the lessons that my dad taught me. So to work hard, to be honest with yourself, to care about others. He was a very quiet man, but very contemplative man, and someone I almost got to know a little bit better through going through his stuff and organizing things. Yeah, it came out of the blue. It was a big shock to the family, but well, what can you do? Unfortunately, life, it likes to keep testing you, keep throwing those curveballs to make sure that you stay grounded. And my dad wasn't the only loss of the year, but it was certainly the most significant one. I also lost another relationship. I feel cursed when it comes to relationships, but I will always carry like happy memories of those times, and like it definitely grew me as a person, made me a better person, because that's what relationships are meant to do, right? They're supposed to not only make you and your partner happy, but also help you grow, help you mature, and help you think about what's important in life. And the ones that don't work out, well, they teach you some humility. They also teach you a bit better about, you know, what works, what doesn't work. It's one of those ones where I'd say there are no hard feelings from my side. I don't believe in holding grudges, and you know, I saved the grudges for the people who truly deserve that, i.e. the ones who tried to destroy my life, and certainly I didn't have that experience this time. And at the moment, I'm in a very reflective space, thinking more about the future and working on myself. So, when that next relationship comes around, I'm in the optimal place for it. But yes, there's always some drama in life. But let's start talking about the gains. So one big thing for me is, for the longest time, I was always very hesitant to use AI. Being a big fan of science fiction, watching films like The Terminator and The Matrix, you kind of see the dangers of AI. And I will do a video talking more specifically about my experiences with AI and to give people some practical hints on the pros and the cons and what it will mean for society. But I just want to say that for me, it's mostly been a positive. For those times when you can feel lonely, it offers some kind of companionship. For those times when you don't know something, it's a lot better than using Google. And I like to think it's been a good advancement for my videos as well. You may have noticed some of my scripts being a bit more polished. Well, I can't take all the credit for that. Sometimes that's because, someone like Grok or ChatGPT has been helping me to frame my ideas and improve the wording. So it's all in my voice, just in a more practiced and polished voice, shall we say. So I'm quite happy with the use of AI in my life. I think it's giving me a bit of an upgrade. So 2025 has been another active year for Warsaw Global. Many trips, many events, many experiences, and many new friends. It's the society that keeps on growing, where you meet some really extraordinary people from around the globe who have chosen to call Warsaw home, or at least they're stopping by for a time. Some people come, some people go, such is the nature of life. But what they bring to the table really does make a difference. One of the other videos I want to do is a reflection on immigration, which you could say from an immigrant is maybe a bit of a standard video, but I want to kind of show both perspectives. The positives of being an immigrant in Warsaw, while talking about the destructive tendencies of mass immigration, the likes of which we're seeing throughout, well, most of the Western world right now. Yeah, but Warsaw Global, it's been a lot of fun. We've traveled all over Poland, literally. We've gone to the deepest caves, tallest mountains, enjoyed the sea, enjoyed the forest, played bowling, seen wonderful sights. And it's an incredible outlet for me to keep busy and to have something to focus on, and the ability to build a community. And it's giving me the ability to show up even when I'm feeling tired, so it's a constant motivator. And Paulina, if you're watching, thank you for all the hard work. It wouldn't be anything without you. All right, so let's talk a bit about the journey I've had this year, because as with every year now in Poland, I am exploring more and more. And this is probably going to be the main part of the video because there's an awful lot to talk about here. So I'm the kind of person that, generally speaking, I try to see new places, not just so I can give you guys incredible new videos to show you the hidden wonders of Poland, because there are a lot, and I have a list much longer than my arm that keeps growing about more and more to see. But for me, I also really appreciate the adventure, and Poland is definitely a place for adventure. I'm not going to talk about every single place I went to, because then the video would be like an hour, and I wanted this one to be a shorter reflection. So let me just kind of go through some of the highlights. I went to, cities big and small, lots of different types of nature and landscapes, scenery. And the ones that stood out, well, in no particular order. It's funny how videos I did like Denblin actually worked really well. I think because it had more of a hook to like Polish history and Polish aviation. It's quite an interesting story about how Poland's Air Force really grew and their activities during World War II. It may not be the biggest place, but it was a place I was, very glad to see. And you have places like, I went to the to Lower Silesia again a fair bit, especially at the beginning of the year. There were places like Żywiec, which it has a great brewery, a few mountains. The city itself is, maybe use a little bit of development, just a tad, but it was an interesting place nonetheless. A lot of history there, and I got to see places like Zloty Stok, Poland's biggest gold mine, which again, something a bit novel. And yeah, I do like the novelty in Poland as well as the history and the grand scenery. Like places like Zloty Stok, they're a reminder that sometimes you have to go off the beaten track to see something rather special. I went back to Szczecin. That was really cool. I like Szczecin. It's a big city without the hassle, without the insanity of Warsaw. It's not so crazy. And it's fun to explore a different region of Poland. So as well as taking in some of the museums we missed and revisiting things like the castle and the waterfront, with Szczecin we also took a couple of day trips. So I finally got to see the Crooked Forest, which is novel. The Crooked Forest is an interesting place. It's not the biggest place, but it kind of adds a little bit of mystery and wonder to nature. It makes you wonder if aliens have visited Poland. Probably not. And then I went to places like Świnoujście, and this was, really cool. It's now one of my favorite seaside resorts, and I'd actually like to go back there just to chill. When you're making these videos, you're rushing around, you're trying to see as much as you can in the time that you've got. But that's the kind of place I could go back to for a weekend, relax on the beach, walk the promenade. I think I saw most of what there was to see there, but obviously you miss a few things. There are a couple of museums I missed, but yeah, it was very developed, very modern, while at the same time being fun and carefree, which is actually what Poland is quite about for me. And also in the summer I saw like Park Grudek, or the Polish Maldives, and that was really cool actually. I mean, again, just a sort of small quarry type place with these kind of azure waters, but it had fish. I saw a lot of fish in the various places I went to this year, bizarrely. You know, just a short trip from Katowice, a small hike, but it was really cool. And yeah, talking of more nature scenes, one of the best places I went to this year was probably Suwałki. So Suwałki is one of those places, it was on my hit list for a long time. You'll probably notice I haven't done the video yet. I'm working towards it. I'm up to July in my backlog, so I'm getting there. There's so much more of a focus on the travel itself than the video making this year. I'll catch up, and I had plenty while the as you can see, it's very wintry. But yeah, Suwałki, beautiful, absolutely beautiful place. I think perhaps one of the most beautiful places I've been to in Poland so far. You know, lush forests, epic lakes, cool monastery on an island. Yeah, we had a lot of fun hikes around there. And it's the sort of place that it's technically the coldest place in Europe, or at least in Poland. But when you go in August, it's actually quite nice. So look forward to the video on that one. I finally got to Zamość, and Zamość is one of those places that so many people have recommended over the years, and I'm really happy that I finally got there. Again, another video in making. Again, not the biggest of places, and you can see it's a little bit more geared towards tourism than some of the others, but it's got this really like old school charm, you know, really strong history. It's one of the few places in Poland that the Swedes weren't able to destroy. So you have a lot of old buildings, a lot of character, and it's beautiful as well. It's nice parks and things. I took a couple of like longer trips as well. So I finally went down to Podkarpacie again, properly this time. And I went to places like Rzeszów, Landshut, Przemyśl, Krzysztof Castle. And it was, I want to say, a nice introduction to the region. I'd been before to some outskirts like Tarnobrzeg and the Otrit Mountain in Bieszczady. But finally getting to see these cities and these castles was really cool for me. You know, I've ticked a lot off this list of things I wanted to do because it's a really, really charming region, you know, right by the Ukrainian border, and like a bit mountainous, but not too crazy. Friendly people, nice drinks, nice food, and yeah, just real character. You know, this is what I love about Poland. Every place has its own character. And I was trying to decide on my second longest trip, and in the end, I opted to go with Jelenia Góra. And I did this for a couple of reasons. So firstly, I'm desperate to see as many castles and palaces as I can in Poland, because they're a, you know, big draw for me. You know, they're really like important for me. I've got my castle poster and I'm determined to cross off as much as I can. And from that trip, I'm going to cross off about 10 spots. But from there, I had some incredible hikes, a few disasters, which were partly weather related, partly transport related. But yeah, managed to kill my feet even more than I've killed them. And yeah, beautiful. And I got to go back to Szklarska Poręba, which I think is my new favorite like mountain town in Poland. So please watch that video. It's really a really cool place. I really recommend it. Because I'd been there before earlier in the year, but didn't quite capture everything I wanted to capture. So this allowed me to finish up the footage and yeah, kind of get back into the spirit of it. And I got to see, yeah, some really cool castles and towers, a few old palaces, yeah, a couple of mountains. It's a lovely region, actually. I think, yeah, the Karkonosze region, it's my favorite kind of area of Poland for mountains. You know, the mountains are still high enough that you feel like you're going to die by the top, but they're not so high that you feel like you're going to collapse and never make it back. And plus they have just these giant rocks everywhere, which is, you know, really like nature's way of saying, yeah, remember us, we can do incredible things. And one of the last trips I want to talk about, I went to Świebodzin. So currently has the biggest Jesus Christ in the world. Though I think, was it Armenia or one of these countries is trying to build a bigger one. Curse that project. But it's all right, because Poland is currently building the world's largest statue of Mary that will be even bigger than Jesus, which hopefully we'll see this year. But yeah, Świebodzin, it was my first step into Lubelskia. I always get those two mixed up. One day I will learn which one is which. And I got to see a few places around there, like the biggest fort complex in Poland, really cool abbey, and another nice castle. So that was a really cool region to visit. And that was actually the end of my travels in Poland for 2025. Because then I spent the last few months of the year back home. You know, for the reasons mentioned at the start of this video. I needed to spend time with my mum and my brother and my nieces. Needed to help sort through my dad's things and try and fix things around the house. Try and make, well, my mum's life as easy as possible. Because my dad, well, he was so like instrumental and so responsible. And there was a lot to organize after he left us, or was taken from us. You can check the video and make your own conclusions about that one. But yeah, it really allowed me a chance to get back in touch with the UK. Something, obviously I visit, you know, I go back for Christmas, special occasions, but this gave me a chance to actually explore, see some more British castles. I'll be doing a video on that very soon. A little summary of how Northumbria is a nice illustration of why England deserves to be saved. Beautiful, incredible people there. Wonderful spirit. And yeah, a place that I was very happy to spend time in. Yeah. Of course, you always hope to see these things in better circumstances, and it would have been a million times better if my dad was there. That was the original plan, you see, to spend time with him before we lost him. And yeah, life decided otherwise. And yeah, so that's effectively Poland in a nutshell. When it comes to 2026, well, this is where people like Paulina, the like hostess with the mostess in Warsaw Global, proved to be, you know, very good at keeping me on track. Because one of the first things I had was a phone call with her upon my return to Poland to discuss, right, what trips are we doing this year? When are we doing them? You know, that's excellent Polish efficiency and determination, which I love so much. So with her, we've already planned our next trip. We're going to go to Tarnów and Bochnia. Bochnia is it's another mine, very similar to Wieliczka, and one that probably most tourists miss. So I think it would be an interesting place. Tarnów I touched on very briefly before, and something tells me it'll be one of those places that even though we're staying there and I'll maybe get half a day or something to explore it, I'll need to go back, because I always need to go back. And yeah, we're looking at all the different trips that will hopefully make 2026 an incredible year for discovering Poland as well. And I certainly want to get to quite a few places this year, trying to remember where, because there are a lot of like less common places. So there are places like Lidzbark, Warmiński, I think. I really want to get back to Podkarpacie, and I want to see places like Sanok, and there's a horrible Warsaw. Okay, Sanok, and there's Selina, this lake, which the locals say is a bit overrated, but I still need to capture it, experience it for myself. I really, really intend to get to places like Życko this year, because I feel that like Missouri is one of those like black holes in my collection at the moment. It's the sort of place that I've been around the edges, but I haven't seen the true spirit of the lakes. So yeah, that's going to be an important place for me to visit this year. And I want to get, there are places like Świdnica I really want to get to, places in the east, west I really want to see. Yeah, in truth, 2026, like, there are places all over Poland I want to get to. I really want to polish off my castle list, and I really want to explore some of those other big cities that I haven't been to yet, and find those hidden wonders while enjoying a few mountains, doing a bit of camping, and yeah, really appreciating how amazing Poland is as a country. But I think I've said enough. I think that gives you a pretty good review of my year. So I hope you found it interesting. I hope it's inspired you, and do check out my videos if you want more details on any of the places that I've been to. I try to be as thorough and as honest as possible, while giving you a nice little bit of history and sightseeing details. Everything as a potential traveller you'd need to know. Everything is sorted into wonderful playlists, so you can tap into the region of your choice and say, ooh, I've been to Wrocław, but I haven't been there. I haven't been there. And pretty much 99% of it is reachable by public transport. So if you're a tourist, then you have no excuse. Everything is possible with the right planning. Yeah, but that'll do. So to my subscribers, thank you very much for sticking with me. I know sometimes you're just waiting for the right content. You're like, oh no, he's done another political video. And then suddenly, ooh, he's been to that castle I always wanted to see. So I appreciate my content is a bit mixed on this channel, but I'm a bit mixed of a person, so, what can I say? But yeah, thank you. Please subscribe if you're not already. Really helps me grow. I'm very close to the 10,000 mark, so close. Been close for like 9 months, but never mind. And do like the video, do share the video. It always helps to grow the channel. And one day I can maybe call this a career rather than a hobby. But for the meantime, just mainly thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. And expect a lot more from me in 2026. So, szczęśliwego nowego roku. Happy New Year. And see you later, or do zobaczenia.